Well, it's 8:16 in the morning here in Jackson, Tennessee. We're delighted to have Terry Sylvester with us. He's in town for the Caravan of Stars, 6:30 tomorrow night. He was one of the members of the Hollies and is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that's heavy duty stuff.
That was probably the proudest, the happiest day of my life was the day I joined the Hollies.
Hall of Fame,
and the second happy was the Hall of Fame.
Oh, the Hall of Fame.
I'm not mentioning any ex-wives for the happiness. Okay.
Okay. Well, we've been there, done that. We all share that in common. It's good. And you're from Liverpool, Bruce.
I am from Liverpool, England.
Yeah. So in all that. So the rock and roll started for you how then?
In what?
You got involved with rock and roll how then?
Oh, at school,
Okay.
I mean, it was all to do with the war. After the war, the baby boomers,
Right.
kids. The BBC used to play basically classical music.
All right.
And they'd have plays on. So we didn't know what rock and roll was until Radio Luxembourg, which was like I wouldn't call it a pirate station, but it was based in Luxembourg.
Okay.
And they started playing, Carl Perkins and Elvis and things. But how Liverpool got really involved with it was Liverpool's a seaport, and the Cunard ships twice a week would go from Liverpool to New York City.
Okay.
And some of the sailors would get off the boat, wander around New York, and buy records. Now, those records that somehow or other filter down to the Cavern Club, which was a club where the Beatles started.
Right, okay.
And Bob Buller, the DJ, started playing these records. Of course, Liverpool was the only place in England where people were playing American music like this.
Okay.
Maybe not Elvis. Elvis was Elvis, but
Right.
some of these obscure, and then obviously Chuck Berry stuff. And that's
Okay.
how you listen to the Beatles' first 4 albums. It's all covers.
Yeah.
Of song. You can guarantee those songs came on how they got discovered was because the sailors brought them back, and somehow those records got to the Cavern.
Okay.
I mean, the BBC.
So it was artists black and white that y'all were getting exposed to.
Oh,
then?
yeah. But only on record. We didn't know what they looked like.
Yeah. Okay.
And there was no internet in those days.
Okay.
So, but what happened? Because the BBC weren't playing rock and roll music. I think there was one show a week called the Jack Jackson Show, and that they'd be playing Cliff Richard. They'd be, English artists.
Okay.
But then the Beatles, and then it all happened, and then of course the British invasion over here.
It blew wide up. What was the first band you were in then?
Well, I'd like to say it was a high school band, but it wasn't a high school. It was a school, and it was. But I was 15. Formed a group called the Escorts.
Okay.
Of course, that name's been used over here. I know that. But we used to sing at the Cavern with the Beatles.
Okay, so y'all
and Jerry and the Pacemakers and Billy J. Kramer.
Okay.
We all at Hermits. We were all at the Cavern because it was a cool venue. It's probably not much bigger than this room we're in right now.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get a hit record for some reason. We signed to Fontana, and our producer used to produce Mantovani and all that kind of strings, which I love.
Okay.
But he didn't have a clue how to record a 4-piece group.
Okay.
And we were nervous anyway because in the studio, so it just didn't work out.
Terry Sylvester is with us, member of the Hollies in his career, and he's part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So you got asked to join the Hollies when and how then?
Well, I obviously knew the Hollies from playing shows with them and touring with them, with the Escorts and the Swinging Blue Jeans. That was my group after the Escorts. So Graham Nash, who's a friend of mine, he decided he came over to America, met Mama Cass and Stills and Crosby and all that lot, and he liked that scene that was going on, and they sang together. So he came back to England, and he said to the Hollies, "I'm leaving." Well, this was basically a disaster. The Hollies like top 3 group in England, and all of a sudden the most
going to California.
Yeah, and so they basically thought, what are we going to do? Well, the drummer Bobby Elliott turned around and said, "What about Terry Sylvester?" Because we love the Everly Brothers, all of us, and we used to jam on stage singing Everly Brothers songs.
Okay.
So they contacted me, and the rest, as they say,
is history. Anyway, and Terry Sylvester in Jackson, Tennessee, going to be a part of the Caravan of Stars tomorrow night, 6:30 at the Carl Perkins Civic Center.
Yes, I love
That's
that.
a hoot, isn't it?
I think this is my 6th or 7th time here
Okay.
with Jerry.
Okay.
Jerry, fabulous man, and
Okay.
he's so good to the artist. You know, he's such a good lad.
Well, and he says that y'all are good to him, that everybody's great to work with, or in most cases, everybody's
I think if they're not, they don't come back.
get along. It's a great show. Well, this whole thing then, because we had a gentleman came through here, Hickory Smith, a few years ago that I had not met. He was just coming through the United States, and he was from Manchester, and he was talking about that when all that stuff started hitting Liverpool, the same thing started happening in Manchester. And
Yes.
he said it was just all this talent was bubbling up out there, and and the margin between having a hit and getting and not was just it was almost like the early days of Sun. Some of the guys had hit records, but they all packaged, toured together. They all worked together.
That's exactly.
Billy Lee Riley and all those other people, and Warren Smith that were not Elvis and weren't Carl or Johnny Cash or whatever, but they were all together, worked those shows. Charlie Feathers, all these people. So y'all had the same thing going on in England.
Well, we all knew each other, and obviously it's a bit like, you see, 100 records in those days were getting released a month,
Okay.
and only 2 would be a hit.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe even a week, I'm thinking, because
Okay.
everyone was going berserk. There were A&R men coming up from London to Liverpool and Manchester and scouring the place for talent.
Okay.
But of course, each city had their own top band. Okay, London, Rolling Stones.
Okay.
But then you had the Kinks as well,
All right,
and loads
okay.
of others. Birmingham had Spencer Davis Group.
Okay.
I'm trying to think where else. Newcastle had the Animals.
Okay.
And don't forget, it's a bit like English football, soccer. There's a big rivalry.
Okay.
And believe me, there was a couple of fights, mainly over girls.
Okay.
But there was definitely trouble. But
okay.
yeah, and Liverpool and Manchester is basically Liverpool and Manchester still to this day hate each other.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because Liverpool being on the ocean, on the Irish Sea, but Manchester isn't.
Yeah.
And some government, something happened where they built a canal to bypass, to go through Liverpool and get to Manchester. And Manchester became a thriving city because they had a lot of, I think it was textile industry.
Okay.
And they needed to get, sort of bypass Liverpool on this.
Okay.
And so that rivalry has turned into football, women, everything.
Okay, well, Terry Sylvester is with us, Hollies, and he is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and which is a mark of the career because there are many people come through groups. Who's selected to be included in the Hall of Fame officially is always a point of interest and contention.
Yes.
It's like Bobby Hendricks, the Drifters. I mean, they're great people. Clyde McFadder, all these people, Benny King, been in the Drifters, and so it's just a great thing. So you come in and take Graham Nash's place. It's interesting to me how the English thing then took over music here. I mean, I think of all the people that were charting here in the early 60s that just disappeared when you guys hit.
Well, that's what happened was there was a whole switch in looks. I mean, people like Dion, those looks, smart suits, and her swish back.
Yeah.
When the Beatles and the mop tops came over,
Yeah.
all the girls were going nuts. They kind of just said, "Those guys look like my dad. These are the ones I want." And that's really the reason. I don't, Ringo, the drummer with the Beatles.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Pete Best was the original drummer, and when they played the Cavern Club, he was one of these smooth American-looking guys. He didn't look like the others.
Okay.
And the girls used to go nuts for him, and they used to shout across Paul McCartney while he's trying to sing, "We want Pete to sing."
Okay.
Well, story has it that's the reason that they got rid of him. Yeah,
Okay.
jealousy.
Okay.
Because he was a better drummer than Ringo.
Okay.
So why would you get rid of him?
of him. Okay. Ringo would tell a different story, but this is Terry Sylvester. This is great stuff. This is great stuff. And did the business side of it hitting, and you go from being club bands and touring whatever, and then suddenly there's this international thing that comes. How do you handle that, or is there a way to prepare for it?
That was amazing because we started to. When I first started, we all started. We just used to play Liverpool,
Right, okay.
And then we started playing different towns in England and cities, and then all of a sudden we started getting interest from Germany, Sweden. Sweden's a nice place, by the way. The girls in Sweden used to drive us insane. Anyway, I digress.
Okay.
The
memories are still vivid. I
are,
can
are
tell.
you kidding me? Germany was a fabulous country, and that's another thing. You know, it was so close to the end of the Second World War that a lot of older Germans didn't like the look of these English guys coming over and
there.
sing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
And the young ones did, but we couldn't speak German and they couldn't speak English, but we managed to get around it.
Okay. Wow. And then suddenly the United States. So what is it like when you come to the United States then?
Well, the first time I came in, this is why I live here. We flew. I just joined the Hollies because I'd never been to the States up until 1970.
Okay.
Because I joined in 1968.
Okay.
And then we had a big hit with Here and Heavy's My Brother. So we came over. Epic Records got us over to do some shows and some TV appearances and everything. And I remember being on I think it was a Boeing 707, not a 747, and looking out the window and seeing, you know, all the skyscrapers, and that I'd only ever seen them on the movies.
Okay.
So I was absolutely, and then we stayed in New York for a week, and we had a blast.
Okay.
And I just fell in love with the place, but I still love England. I didn't move to America until 8 years ago, but I come here every year, traveling around. Okay. But I actually live here now.
Okay. Did it surprise you? I mean, when you cross the ocean, then and you got a fan base here. I mean, that you guys are big stuff. I mean, it's just, you know.
We couldn't. Well, we kind of got used to it a little bit by then.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. We went to been to Australia about 8 times.
Okay.
And the fact that you were going all the way over down there and they know us.
Yeah. Okay.
And also we went to Venezuela once, Caracas, for a week. And we did 2 shows. We sold out 2 basketball arenas, and the people were singing along with the songs, and we couldn't believe it.
Terry Sylvester is with us. Hollies, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's in town for the Caravan of Stars, the 33rd Caravan of Stars that Jerry Hunt's putting on in this city, 6:30. So I hope you'll grab tickets. Can you stay with us? You okay?
Come on, what?
Can you stay with us for a few more minutes?
Yeah, as long as I can drink my water.
Okay, all right, good deal. I'm going to do this commercial set here, and we'll be right back. Terry Sylvester is with us, and this is Blue
How would
Suede
you
Forever.
describe a down-home bank? Local
Fan
ownership.
Drive, Jackson.
It's 8:29 in Jackson, Tennessee, and this is Blue Suede Forever coming to you live from the Dixie Cafe, Old Country Store, Casey Jones Village, on WDXI AM 1310 and WDXI FM 103.5. We're also on ePlus TV6, and we're streaming worldwide at eplustv6.com, and delighted to be talking with Terry Sylvester, who's a member of the Hollies in his career and joined in the late 60s, replacing Graham Nash, and is officially a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not often that happens in your life. And so it's good. Inadvertently, some things happened as a result of this British invasion. As we talked, it knocked all these guys, Bobby V and Del Shannon and all these people that were charting, and changed all of that. Motown, brought black artists back, but it also surfaced because of what you guys were doing. When I heard Eric Burton and the Animals, I thought House of the Rising Sun was an original song. Okay,
right.
Then I saw a film clip from like the 40s, early 50s. Roy Acuff had done this song, and boom, boom, boom. Well, I didn't know John Lee Hooker. I didn't know any of this stuff. As a teenager, I thought this was all new stuff because I'm 13 in 63, okay? So I'm hearing this stuff, and I'm thinking this is all new music. Then I find out you guys had found this whole root of music that was here that was not being recorded, and a lot of it not on radio, and it's just, lo and behold, then the Stones, all these other people start doing this blues tinge stuff.
Well,
but they knew some of this stuff.
See, there was a big change. The BBC. What happened was in the '60s, the young people were getting a little bit fed up with the BBC, and so a guy called Ronan O'Reilly decided to get a ship and put some DJs on the ship, and he had a radio station on the ship. It was called Radio Caroline. The only problem was they didn't pay royalties. So the government shut them down. But in all that process, the BBC realised they had to change. So they hired some of the jocks off the ship, who actually, I think they got arrested, take them off the ship, because it was illegal. And they ended up with, there was 3 ships eventually, all bobbing around playing rock music. Paying us, paying the Beatles, paying everybody. And that's why the BBC changed its tune in the late 60s. But the other thing I was going to say was, you mentioned Del Shannon. I mean, and Bobby, they had huge success in England,
Yes.
and they were still touring.
Touring.
Gene Pitney, I toured with Gene Pitney twice.
Okay.
In the 60s, and he packed the place. So it was like the grass is always greener on the other side.
Okay. So they're over there continue to do
And
Carl Perkins and all these people over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think that Del Shannon in particular, his hit "Runaway," I think was on the chart for about 6 months.
Okay. So that's an interesting thing. So you guys are coming over here, taking it away, and they're over there still hanging in there.
Exactly. Well, it's a bit like holidays, isn't it?
Okay.
We come over here for holidays; they go to London.
Okay, so get that going on. So you moved to Florida 8 years ago.
I did.
Okay. And what was the appeal there with Florida?
The sunshine. I lived in Toronto for 5 years before that.
Okay.
And oh my God, I didn't realise how bad the weather is up there.
Okay.
I was dating a girl up there, so and then it's a lovely city. It's a great city, and I like my sport. I used to go and watch the baseball, and I love baseball.
Yeah.
So, but I was obviously touring and coming over and doing shows in the States, and then going back to Toronto.
Right.
And then my mum passed away about 9 years ago, and I was got a bit depressed about all this. She was in Liverpool. I didn't see her. I just went over and buried her, and I got a bit depressed about that, but about the weather. The weather wasn't helping.
Okay.
It was like pitch black, snow on the ground, and I never get depressed. I'm an up person, so I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the snowbird thing. I want to go down for a month, and anyway, I never went back.
So been there 8 years and not planning on leaving.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I live on the ocean as well. My ambition was always to try and live on the ocean. I'm very lucky. Very lucky.
Wow. Okay, that's good stuff. Terry Sylvester with the Hollies with us, part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's in Jackson for the Caravan. 6:30 tomorrow night, Carl Perkins Civic Center. If you don't have tickets, get them from Jerry today.
Did you say 6:30?
6:30.
Okay, listen to this. 6:30. You know, I'll be there. Billy Paul.
Yes, that's right.
We did a TV show with him.
With him, okay.
We did
Me
a
and Mrs. Jones. He
Me
died
and Mrs. Jones.
just last year.
He died, didn't he?
Yeah, and a jazz singer and all this other stuff. An extremely talented man, but that one monster record
Was.
and it was. So y'all toured with him.
We did a TV show. We did lots of TV shows, but we used to come over to promote records. We did kind of think what it was called. Oh, we did the Mike Douglas show.
Mike Douglas show, okay.
And the Merv Griffin show.
Okay.
And we did another like pop show. Oh, we did the show with Wolfman Jack as well.
Okay, Midnight Special.
Midnight Special.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually. There's a good clip of me on YouTube singing "Long Cool Woman," and I had long hair, and for most of the song I had a hair in my mouth. I looked like Scarface. No one messaged with me because they look at that vid and think he's tough.
Okay.
It's a strand of hair, and I kept on trying to get rid of it, but
couldn't do it.
Anyway, but Billy Paul was on,
Okay.
and the Doobie Brothers, the original Doobies,
Brothers,
not
okay.
with Michael
Yeah,
McDonald.
with Mike Johnson, all this stuff, because Michael McDonald did change things with them. And real Doobie fans, Doobie fans are in two groups.
That's it.
It's that Michael McDonald bunch that some people love.
Yeah, I like that. I've seen them both.
Yeah.
Well, I met the first ones. They were doing "Listen to the Music."
Okay.
Oh, whoa, whoa! Listen to the music. That was their hit. And but Billy did Me and Mrs. Jones.
Yeah.
So it must have been around 1974.
Okay.
Yeah, 74.
Okay. All that stuff's still vivid, right? I mean,
6:30. You know, I'll be there tomorrow. At the, what's it called? The Carl Perkins Civic Centre?
Carl Perkins Civic Center.
We have lots of other people, good people on the show as well.
Yeah, a lot of folks are going to be on there. You're still working, you still enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm happiest I am is when I'm on stage. I never get nervous. I'm more nervous walking down the street than I am on stage.
Okay, all right.
So I love it. I love it.
And in everybody's life, you have those points. I mean, if you hadn't been asked to be in the Hollies, it would have been a totally different existence.
I've got a funny feeling I might have somehow or other got there.
Okay.
Because I got a bit left behind because the Escorts couldn't get a hit. The Swinging Blue Jeans did, but before my time, so we never came to America.
Okay.
All my friends, Beatles, Jerry Marsden, everybody was Searchers, all coming back saying, "Oh, the States is great," because I'm green pea with envy.
Okay.
So, but I knew, I had a feeling.
That it would happen.
Cream always rises to the top. Did you know that?
that it does. And it's good to have you in Jackson, Tennessee.
I like it. It's a great place.
Okay.
As I said, I think it's my 6th or 7th time.
All right. Best memories and all that stuff? I mean, we've gone through a lot of things. I mean,
Are you talking of Jackson or everything?
Everything, yeah.
Oh, definitely day I joined the Hollies. And then Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
But obviously, we've done so many shows.
Yeah.
Australia is a fabulous country.
Is there a camaraderie still among people that were a part of that?
Oh,
at
yeah.
that
We all.
time?
Yeah, you see, the thing is, I did a tour last year of the States, but north of the States. It was called the British Invasion Tour. Well, that's a bit obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Billy J. Kramer,
All right.
Peter Asher from Peter and Gordon, Mike Pender from the Searchers, Denny Lane from Wings and the Moody Blues, and me,
Okay.
backed by a really hot LA band. Well, we packed theatres from New York to LA.
Okay.
And I think we're hopefully going to be doing that again. It's a fabulous show.
Okay.
Everyone sings the hits.
Okay.
And at the end, we all come on and join on Band on the Run.
All right.
It's fab.
Okay.
That's one of the
So
highlights.
it's still fun.
Oh,
It is still fun.
we've known each other for 50, 60 years. We never thought this would still be happening.
I go back to a quote, and I remember it from Ringo Starr saying he hoped to buy a sort of chain of hair salons or something because he knew it was going to go away.
Well, that's the thing.
Right.
Nobody thought.
Thought it was going to stay.
Nobody
It was the
thought.
same thing out of Memphis with those guys at Sun. I mean, it's like.
But what about the
you know,
quote I was reading? I was reading about Carl Perkins last night. Paul McCartney's quote.
Yeah.
Without Carl Perkins, there wouldn't have been Beatles.
That's right.
It's true.
It's true.
So without the Beatles, there wouldn't have been.
Yeah, the
anything.
Hollies.
I don't think there would be.
Yeah. It's just that thing because when they hit, here came the Dave Clark 5 and all this other stuff, and it just changed everything.
Well, the other thing, I mean, my favourite record we ever did is "He Ain't Heavy Is My Brother," written by Bobby Scott and Bobby Russell, two American writers, and that song means so much to a lot of people. It was a big Vietnam song.
All right.
It was a 9/11 song. And the times people come up when I do meet and greets after the show, and they say, "I buried my brother. We played He Ain't Heavy Is My Brother." You know, and
wow.
it means a lot. But not a lot of people know this.
Yeah.
Elton John played the piano on that record.
Is that right?
And when you play it next time,
All right.
listen to the piano.
All right.
You can tell it's him.
That is him.
He was a session player.
All right. We'll do that right now. It's a real pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure for me.
It's a real
Cheers.
honor to meet you. And
I'm going to have breakfast now.
Yeah, all right. Continued best, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you mentioned it, and that's one great thing about that. We can do that right here, right now.